go is one of life's great contradictions. It's both easy and very hard. The emptying of my storage unit brought this home again for me and evoked some real emotional moments. It wasn't just about the stuff I let go, I was letting go of several other things as I waded through the boxes. Join me as I chat about how the emptying of my storage unit also led to the letting go of situations, the past, expectations, and the painful one, people. I'm the Forest Fairy. Welcome to my corner of the woods where I'm rebuilding, revamping, redesigning a magical life and hopefully inspire you to gather your own fairy dust. Hello everyone, I hope you're having an excellent week. It's been a wet and stormy week and I'm really missing a fireplace. Our homes are not built for the cold. As you heard, the clearing of my storage unit is finished. What a relief, as it was not only a huge physical undertaking, but also a profound mental, emotional, and even spiritual one. I let go, and I'm still letting go, it's a process, of so many things, from crocheted tablecloths to old friendships, from dishwashers ruined by lime scale to corporate life. The past 15 years have had numerous lessons in letting go of stuff. It began with me moving into both singlehood and a smaller home. I had 2 storage units to begin with, as I mentioned in the conversation, top 10 pros and cons of having a storage unit. But gradually and gently we emptied them within 18 months or so. Then and now I realized that there are 2 categories of stuff that you need to let go of. The first are those things which, if you're honest, don't really matter. And if you do start missing them, you can easily replace them. This is things like the very ordinary TV cabinet, the piles of extra linen, or the big box of empty picture frames, which I really don't have space for anymore. And then there is the more emotional and personal stuff. Me, I'm quite attached to my things, especially those that I inherited. I had to make a pact with myself to just keep those things that are either strongly reflect the person from whom I inherited them, or which are very beautiful and I enjoy owning. This was like choosing the one tablecloth from the many crocheted ones by my paternal grandmother, or keeping my maternal grandfather's wonderful old gramophone cabinet, which I now use at the entrance of my home for paraphernalia such as sunglasses, chapsticks and hand cream. A situation can be any number of things. For example, a relationship that's not serving you, a court case that never seems to end, or a club where you don't feel you belong anymore. In my case, it's the letting go of working in a corporate environment. Leaving my corporate and city life didn't initially begin as my decision, but rather with a retrenchment during COVID. But when I realized this was the chance to make a change, I jumped. Within 6 weeks of that insight, I was living in a wonderful little village close to the town where my mother resides. Make no mistake, it has been challenging at times. But I'm happier, my stress levels are way lower, and I'm more in touch with nature, more social and more focused on what truly matters. However, recently there's been a call and a pull to go back to corporate, like a pull back to an ex, I would imagine. I would sometimes miss the adrenaline surge you get when you're brainstorming with a team on a new strategy or starting a new project or having deep conversations about how to make an impact. So I got curious and started analyzing the situation and my feelings. I realized that I wasn't missing the actual work environment, but rather the teamwork, purpose, satisfaction and security that it offered. Now I know one must never say never and anything can happen, but I think I'm now letting go of corporate life. What situations do you need to let go of but can't? Perhaps if you could also identify the positive feelings that kept you there and see what and where in your current life they could be satisfied. Letting go of the past may overlap with a number of these other categories, but this is more a letting go of the yearning, the longing for parts of my old life. It's one thing to fondly reflect on memories and share with friends and family the remember when we used to's, and it's quite another to live in regret that it has gone or wish we were still there. Sometimes we are where we are due to our own choices, often made to the best of our abilities within the context of that moment. And sometimes life just deals us a hand that lands us in different circumstances. My life is way, way different than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. And while I sometimes deeply miss some of the people and the lifestyle, I do know that it's disrespectful to myself if I don't give this life, where I am now, my commitment and absolute best. As the popular adage goes, when life gives you lemons, you need to make lemonade. Only time traveling can take you back to precisely how things were. And while I have wonderful memories of my previous life, I know this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Ooh, this is a tough one for me, letting go of expectations. So this past year, I had some serious lessons on this, especially the letting go of expectations of myself and others. And it had me doing some deep diving. The flood in September last year was devastating for many in my little village, and although I lost much less than others, I was launched out of my cocoon to nomad for nearly 3 months, and I lost quite a bit of my belongings. However, I'm a strong, independent, resilient woman. What's a bit of water and a few moves of my belongings back and forth between the storage unit? I've done that before, and I expected myself to suck it up and get on with the good life. Well, not so much. My fight-flight response is freeze, as I mentioned in the conversation, how do you respond to trauma? And I just could not focus or be creative, hence my ability to earn dived. Even amidst the excitement of moving back into my cottage, I was bone tired and it took me months to get my groove back. In hindsight, I realized I wasn't kind enough to myself. I expected moi to be fine and up and running immediately. I expected moi to get her shit together quickly. I don't say wallow forever, but I've learned that I need to not expect the impossible from myself. It's just exhausting. And expecting things from others, ooh, this one, I find I expect others, especially my nearest and dearest, to do as I would do. And really that's impossible. No one else is exactly like me or you with the same values and characteristics, and I suppose one can say, thank goodness there's only one of me. I have to remind myself that I can only expect something from someone if they actually committed to it out of their own, or if I asked for it, for example, help in moving. But just thinking that others would automatically know what I expect and need and then expecting them to deliver is ridiculous. But human. And the last one, letting go of people. I can almost hear you running through the list of people you've had to let go. Once again, there are 2 aspects to this. The first is letting go of people who were in your life for a certain period and then left, but they're still alive somewhere. And the second is letting go of people who have passed. This one is really tough for me. So the first person who usually comes to mind when thinking of the first group of people is an ex. Whether they left you or you left them or whether it was mutual, sometimes you just cannot let go. This could also be, as in my case, a friend and a boss. And maybe being unable to let go has to do with wanting answers and closure from that person. But a few years ago, some expert I stumbled upon said that it's unrealistic to want answers or closures from someone else, especially if it didn't end with you being best buddies. You're not going to be able to sit the person down and get honest answers. And do you really want to? Those answers may devastate you. Get help, professional or otherwise, but work it out on your own. Learn from it, heal from it, and give yourself closure. And then move on to create a magical life. Now, the second group is people who have passed. Everyone eventually dies. Ourselves, everyone we know and don't know. No one gets out of here alive. But it's mega hard to lose someone close. People say, oh, it takes 2 years, 5 years. But I say it takes as long as it takes, not for the grief to go away, but to soften. Initially, the grief is in every moment, then just a few times a day, to a few times a week, to once in a while. Initially with tears and sobs, and later tears and smiles, and later smiles and laughter. But every so often, it's a few minutes of that heart-wrenching grief and that's okay. Carry on building a magical life for yourself. That, I believe, is the biggest gift you can give someone that has passed. I'm a strong believer in relieving the emotions so that don't get stored somewhere in your body. So there you have it. Letting go to make more space for more blessings. What have you let go of? Or what do you need to let go of? Wishing you a wonderful week ahead and sprinklings of fairy dust as we continue redesigning a magical life. Until next time, goodbye.